Willowshade was a small village. It was a very pretty place indeed. Green fields were all around it. Tall trees grew in the nearby woods. The woods were just a little way from the village. Birds sang sweetly in the branches. Rabbits with twitchy noses played in the fields. It was a peaceful, happy place for everyone who lived there. Misty was a small cat who lived in Willowshade. Her fur was grey and soft like mist. She had bright green eyes, full of mischief. Misty was a very clever cat, and she was very, very curious. She loved to explore every nook and cranny. She knew every garden path and hidden corner of Willowshade. She chased colourful butterflies in the sunshine. She often sat and watched the little birds in the bushes. Not far away in the shadows of the woods lived Fang. Fang was a long, slithery snake. His scales were green and brown like old leaves. He lived amongst the roots of the big trees. Fang was very quiet when he moved. He could slide through the grass like a silent shadow. Fang was a cunning creature, and he was almost always feeling hungry. He often watched the village from his hiding place. Fang often saw little Misty. He saw her playing in the meadows. He saw her carefully hunting for field mice. Misty, with her soft fur, looked like a tasty meal. So Fang began to watch her more closely. He learned her favourite paths and sunny napping spots. He waited, coiled and still for the right moment. He was a very patient hunter, was Fang. He waited for his chance to catch the little grey cat. One sunny morning, Misty decided to go for a walk. The air was warm and sweet with the smell of flowers. The bees buzzed busily from bloom to bloom. She thought she would go near the edge of the woods. It was one of her favourite places for an adventure. She loved to sniff all the new and exciting smells there. She felt quite brave and adventurous near the tall, dark trees. She hoped to find a new feather or perhaps a shiny beetle. The edge of the woods was very quiet that morning. Tall green grass grew thickly there. Colourful wildflowers, red and blue and yellow, bloomed prettily. Sunlight dappled through the leaves, making dancing patterns on the ground. Fang was hiding in the long grass, very well hidden indeed. He was perfectly still like a fallen branch. He blended in so well with the leaves and shadows. He saw Misty coming closer, step by step. His cold eyes watched her every move. Fang's eyes were fixed only on Misty. She was very close now, sniffing a bright blue flower. He slowly coiled his long body, tensing his muscles. He was ready to strike, swift and sudden. He waited for the absolutely perfect moment to dart out. He did not make a single sound, not even a rustle. He was a silent hunter and a patient one. This was his chance, he thought with a flick of his tongue. The little cat would soon be his. Suddenly, Misty's little pink ears twitched. She felt a strange cold shiver run down her spine. Her sharp green eyes saw a tiny flicker of movement, a flicker of green and brown scales in the grass. It was Fang. He lunged towards her. Misty jumped back with all her might. She was quick as a flash of lightning. She was safe, but her little heart beat like a drum. Fang had missed her by just a whisker. Oh, what a fright. Misty landed softly on her 4 furry paws. She was scared, oh yes, very scared indeed. But Misty was not just any cat, she was also very clever. She did not just run away blindly into the fields. She knew that Fang was dangerous and would not give up. He would surely try to catch her again. She had to think very fast, her mind whirring. She needed a good plan, a very clever plan, a plan to stop Fang from ever troubling her again. Then Misty remembered something important. Old Farmer Giles had an old rusty milk churn. It stood near the broken well at the edge of his far field. The churn was big and round and made of metal. It had a heavy lid, which was often a little loose. An idea, a brilliant idea, sparked in Misty's clever head. A very good idea indeed, she thought with a flick of her tail. This milk churn could be the perfect trap for the snake. She just had to get Fang to follow her there. Misty looked back over her shoulder at Fang. He was very angry that she had escaped. He slithered quickly towards her, hissing quietly. Misty turned and began to run, but she did not run too fast. Oh no. She made sure that Fang could still see her. She wanted him to follow her, to keep chasing. She led him away from the safety of the village, towards the old well and the rusty churn she ran. Fang was absolutely furious now. The little grey cat had escaped his strike. He would not let her escape him again, he vowed. He followed Misty with all his speed, slithering fast. He only saw the flash of grey fur ahead of him. He did not pay much attention to where he was going. He just wanted to catch that tantalizing cat. He was getting quite tired from the long chase, but the thought of catching Misty kept him going. Misty reached the old forgotten well at last. The rusty milk churn stood beside it, just as she remembered. The lid looked a little bit crooked on top. She darted towards it, her paws nimble and quick. She pretended to be very tired and quite trapped. She made a little pitiful cry, a tiny meow. She said it as if she was in great fear and distress. She looked back at Varn, who was coming closer. Her plan was working perfectly so far. Varn saw his chance, or so he thought. The little cat was surely trapped by the churn. He gathered all his remaining strength for one final lunge. He lunged towards Misty with a great burst of speed. He aimed for the spot where she crouched by the churn. He was so sure he would catch her this time. He opened his mouth wide, ready for his meal. He was very, very cross and very, very hungry. He did not see the clever gleam in Misty's eyes, but Misty was far too quick and clever for Varn. Just as Varn lunged with all his might, she leapt. She jumped not away but right over the open top of the churn. Varn, in his angry haste and focused pursuit, slithered straight in. Thud! He landed inside the dark metal churn. Before he even knew what had happened to him, Misty acted. With a determined push of her head, she nudged the heavy lid. Clang! It fell back into place, trapping Varn securely inside. Misty sat down, panting, but oh so proud. Later that day, Farmer Giles came to the old well. He heard a strange and angry hissing sound. He peered cautiously inside his old milk churn, and there, coiled at the bottom, was Varn. Farmer Giles carefully picked up the heavy churn. He carried it far, far away from Willowshade. Deep into the densest part of the woods he went. He let Varn go there, where he could bother no one. Willowshade was safe again, thanks to Misty. Misty was a true hero for her amazing cleverness, and her great bravery was known and admired by all in the village.